episode 31 of the Midwest Angler Podcast. I'm Scott Sturman, joined by Matt Deitch, and today we've got very special guest, Ted Takasaki, and his fiance, Charlotte. Ted, thanks for being on.
Hey, it's great to be here. You betcha, guys.
So, thanks for we reached out to you and responding back and letting us come here and sit down at your home and interview you like this.
Yeah, we were definitely very excited that we got to come up here, and a while back we did the Mount Rushmore of Midwest Fishing, and Ted, you were in the top four, you, Al Lindner, Dave Gens, and Gary Roach, and we knew you were right over here in Sioux Falls, and we thought, hey, we gotta reach out to you, and yeah, like I said, thank you very much for letting us come up here and meet you, sit down with you. Been looking forward to this episode.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's quite the great people in fishing, so it's excited to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, when I did the little research on you, when we did this, born and raised in Illinois, how did you get your start into fishing?
Well, I would say I worked for Hewlett-Packard for 18 years, and during that period of time, a good friend of mine that I went to college with, his name is John Campbell, he encouraged me to go fishing, and we went to a lot of different places. And then the first tournament in the area, it was called the Masters Walleye Circuit, and it was on the Illinois River. So we decided, it was close, we decided to enter it. We've been taking a few fishing classes from this gentleman named Spence Petros. He was the editor of Fishing Facts magazine. And so we entered this tournament, fished it, didn't catch a fish, but out of 200 teams, 190 didn't catch a fish. So it was a pretty tough bite. It was a pretty tough bite, so we just said, all right, well, we're not that bad. Let's try it again.
Yep.
So we fished another tournament, a little bit, it was still kind of close to Chicago at that time, and it was the Lake Muskegon, which is connected to Lake Michigan. Very, very clear water, notorious night fishery. Once again, we didn't catch a fish, but again, about 180 out of 200 teams didn't catch a fish either. So that was our first two tournaments, and I mean, it'd been easy to quit at that point, right?
Definitely.
But then the next year we decided to fish them all. We fished all the tournaments in our division, and we qualified for the championship. Ended up in 4th place at the championship. My father passed away the day before the tournament started, so I couldn't even fish the first day. My partner fished by himself, and at the time it was on the Mississippi River. You could keep 10 fish per person, but before he went out, they said that the tournament director stopped him and said, you can catch and keep 10 fish, but you can only weigh 5. And so he weighed 5 fish, but he caught 10 fish. Yeah. I got there the second day, and then the third day. We ended up in 4th place, about 3.5, 4 pounds out of 1st place. So 5 fish would have made a difference.
For wow.
Sure. So we were pretty excited about that at that time. I mean, it was I didn't know much about professional fishing at that point, and but just to be able to drive a boat through this big auditorium with a couple thousand fans, cheering you on, it really changed what I really wanted to do at that point. So I was convinced that I wanted to be a professional angler, and everything I did, and at that point was designed to achieve that goal. And in 1998, won the Professional Walleye Trail Championship. Was the first $100,000 payout in walleye history, and called one of my sponsors at the time, and that was Nick Adams at Lindy Fishing Tackle. And I said, Nick, I just won this big tournament. It was a $100,000 tournament on a Lindy Fuzzy Grub, and he was excited, and then immediately he says, well, by the way, I'm retiring. And so I asked him, who's going to take your place? And he says, well, we're interviewing right now. And I just blurted out at that time, well, what about me? And he said, well, what about you? And I said, I just won this big tournament. I've got marketing experience with Hewlett-Packard. I think I could do the job. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, we'll get you an interview. Got an interview, got the job, 10 years at Lindy, fishing tackle, doubled revenue, quadruple profit. And, I mean, that's kind of how everything started. And it really has been a great career since then.
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the things that here 2 episodes ago when we had talked about you, I had talked about how you had started off in computers, moved over to Lindy Tackle, but that's really cool to hear the behind the scenes.
Yeah, and life takes a lot of different twists and turns here and there, and that was certainly a key element. And when I was at Hewlett Packard, I was always told myself that I needed to find a job that would combine business with the fishing, and that was perfect. The president of Lindy Fishing Tackle, where again, I was able to build a reputation around the tackle and my brand, the Ted Takasaki brand, and so the combination helped both. I mean, I helped Lindy, Lindy helped me, and once my sponsorships and everything exceeded my president's salary, I felt like I could do it full time. So
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Now, what are some of your sponsors now that you're running?
Well, the key sponsor for me is Lund Boats and Mercury Engines. They have been with me for a long time. Mercury for my entire professional career, and then Lund Boats for the last 11 years.
Okay.
And they've been fantastic. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm able to do, and they're just great products to be able to represent. I have Gamakatsu hooks, fish on rod holders, offshore trolling boards, St. Clair rods, let's see,
Skins It.
ultimate fishing gear with the Skins It fish skinner. So a lot of really good sponsors, and it's been great to be able to promote them. And in this day and age of internet and the different social media sites, it's really changed the way professional anglers promote their products.
Oh, for sure. We were on the way up here. We were talking about that. Like, what are your feelings like on the positives and the negatives of the social media aspect of it?
Oh, there are definitely positives and negatives. I believe today an angler can make a name for himself with social media.
No, yeah, definitely.
Back then I needed television, these magazines, newspapers, a lot of other media outlets back then when I first started. But now anybody can make a name for themselves on social media. And so that's the positive part of it. The negative part is that you put yourself out in front of a lot of different people, and you can take hits at times too, so I got to be very careful about how you approach social media and what you say and how you do it, so. Definitely.
Another thing that me and Matt talked about is how you really like, well, I don't know if you like to, but you are out in the public a lot, when we're at Shields, you're there demonstrating skin zits and whatnot. Has it always been like that, or have you always been at these expos and whatnot, or is that something that has really grown later?
No, it's always been a part of the job, and what's great is that I have Charlotte now to be able to go along. She helps at a lot of these sports shows. It's nice to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off of when you're talking to consumers. So I don't know, do you enjoy coming? I'm assuming.
Very much. But also I think it's good because more and more women are becoming anglers.
Absolutely.
And so that's exciting too. I can relate to the women that are in the audience a little bit. And
they'll come up and talk to you, whereas, maybe they would shy away from going up and talking to a guy,
Yep.
They can connect with you easier, so, that's definitely a better marketing tool, really.
Without a doubt. And
Yeah.
there are a lot of sponsors that are looking to address the female marketplace, and I think Charlotte's in a perfect position to be able to do that. And
also because I'm really a new fisherman, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting from kind of ground zero. And there's a lot of people like me that want to know, how do you get better at this? How can you really do this? And so I can really tap into Ted's expertise.
Well, you got a good teacher.
Yeah. For sure.
She just caught her biggest walleye just last week, a 27.5 incher out of
And a half.
Beach Lake.
Nice.
27.5
It's
inches.
big.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's bigger than anything I've ever caught, so.
Of course, I do have a little help when he says, okay, you might want to use this bait, or you might want to use this rod, or,
Oh, that's
you know,
all
let's
part
go
of
to
it.
this
Yeah.
spot.
No, that's all right. I mean,
I do
everyone
the
started
same.
off with a teacher.
That's right.
Yeah.
How long, so just in the last couple years you've started doing the fishing?
Pretty
or?
much. I fished once when I was about 9 years old.
Okay.
My dad took me on a camping trip, and along with a friend of his and his little girl who was about 9 years old. And we started fishing, and the girls caught all the fish.
Perfect.
And the guys caught nothing, so he didn't take me back again.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite lakes to go out and target, or is it the river, or what do you?
Oh, you know, I guess I enjoy any lake that I go on. I mean, if you're thinking scenery and the potential for big fish, Fort Peck, Montana has always been a favorite of mine. I don't go out there very often. Now, when it comes to really big fish, Lake Erie out in Ohio is a phenomenal fishery for walleyes. It's just a lot of big fish, there. And so if somebody said they wanted to catch a 10-pounder, that's probably where I would take them. But every lake, it's got its own little characteristic. Some of the northern Minnesota lakes are beautiful, just nice to be on. But then, again, sometimes if your objective is to catch a big fish, it really kind of depends on what a person wants. I like them all.
Yep.
And now, how about a technique? What's your favorite way to catch walleyes?
Jig fishing is absolutely a blast. It's
Right.
probably the most fun one. But as far as effectiveness, if I was going to take a lure or a technique somewhere, anywhere in the country, it'd probably be a bottom bouncer and a spinner.
Yep. Yeah, you can catch them about anywhere with that.
Yep.
How about you, Charlotte?
Same thing. And you know what? I think it's my dad's favorite method too.
Bottom
It's
bouncer.
just, through
Yeah.
the years. I mean,
Kind of the tried and true bait there for a
Oh,
walleye.
yeah. It's a great system, no doubt.
Yep.
How about, besides walleye, now you've kind of made a career on the walleye scene. Besides walleye, what other species do you like to target?
Oh, I think the most exciting fish as far as a fish that eats top water, that jumps, it's a hard fighter, they grow big, is certainly a muskie. A muskie is my first muskie was a 51 incher, so I was really kind of hooked before I started fishing walleye tournaments.
Better believe it.
So I fished muskies exclusively for the first 2 years. Didn't catch another one, but I went after them a lot, and then the walleye tournaments kind of came around. So I started kind of switched gears from muskies, but I've always enjoyed fishing muskies.
muskies are better fighters than walleye.
Well, they're just bigger. They're bigger. They swim faster. They jump. They eat topwater baits, whereas walleyes don't eat topwater. So they're explosive on the surface of the water. And a lot of times, you haven't had a chance to fish one yet, but you will. And the exciting thing about this is that they'll hit something that's on the surface of the water, and when they blow up on a topwater bait, you pretty much almost drop the rod because it's so breathtaking as far as the aggressiveness of the fish. Now, amazingly enough, as hard as they hit the bait, they aren't very aggressive, really. They're kind of, as far as behavior and characteristics, walleyes and muskies are very similar. They are very tentative. They aren't as aggressive a species of fish as maybe a bass or a northern pike. So the thing about walleye, there's a lot more similarities to between walleyes and muskies than there are walleyes to bass or walleyes to northern pike. You see, walleyes, they bite better when you have low pressure systems coming in, cloudy, maybe some wind, rocks and weeds. Walleyes are they feel a lot more comfortable when you have wind. Same thing with muskies. Muskies are an excellent evening, low light predator. Same thing with walleyes. Muskies like the wind, walleyes like the wind. They'll follow baits, right up to the boat. And walleyes are kind of the same way. If you're bringing in a lure and you bring it out of the water too fast, a walleye will sit there and be looking at you. So you almost have to, not figure eight, but at least change the speed and direction right before you bring the lure out of the water with a walleye. Same thing with muskie.
Okay. Now you do a lot of ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like ice fishing just as much as open water fishing, or?
Well, ice fishing is one of those sports where it's cold and they have a lot of great gear these days. They have shelters, they have augers that are mechanical, that you can drill holes a lot faster than you ever used to be. But I did it just kind of
Pass the time?
right, rather than competitively.
Yep.
But since I've come across this sponsor called Snow Bear, and the Snow Bears are so much fun and convenient and comfortable to fish out of. I mean, she hates cold,
Yeah.
but she'll fish out of a Snow Bear.
Well, you don't get cold, you go
Right,
into the
right.
car and then you're in
Yeah.
the snow bear and it's nice and warm and
Just like you're driving a car
You-
out
It's
there the whole
fabulous.
time.
You don't have to get cold unless you want to.
Yeah, right, yeah.
that's how ice fishing ought to be.
I'd agree with you on that, so.
Yeah, see, I'm an ice fisherman, he's more of an open water fisherman, and we both do both, but, we often get into a debate on what's better, and I'm definitely.
Yeah, that Snow Bear, it's just amazing. I mean, you can go anywhere with it. You drop it, it's on tracks and skis, so you can. I've had it in 12, 14 inches of brand new fresh powder snow. It just goes right through all that. And then when you want to stop and fish, you just lower the tracks, you drill your holes, and you're fishing. And the temperature always stays about the same. You can adjust the temperature inside the cab. And
Yeah, we brought parkas and everything, we didn't even use them in the snow bear.
Yep, you probably can sit in a t-shirt all day long.
pretty
And
much.
it probably helps that if it's negative 30 degrees out, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants to be out there, but if you're comfortable in something like that, then yeah, you can
And
get out.
you look outside your window and there are these poor people fishing, out in the cold, shivering.
That's us, that's us. No, that's all right, but,
It's like a boat on the ice,
Right.
essentially. People spend money on boats for open water, and there's some people who spend money on, since if they have jobs where they're busy all summer, this is a great opportunity for them to go fishing.
Right.
It's their boat on the ice.
right.
I didn't even know there was such a difference between the walleye that you catch, like in the ice fishing areas, the greener color.
Oh well, I took Charlotte to Lake Winnipeg
Oh,
this past year.
you lucky dog.
Nice.
And these walleyes the walleyes up there, they're a bright green
Oh,
emerald
beautiful.
color, and they grow very big. And so Charlotte had the opportunity. She caught a 27-incher
Yeah.
up there.
27-incher, but he was so pretty,
Oh, yeah, that
Just
color is
seeing pictures
amazing.
Wow.
from fish up there, it is, it's,
clear.
If Matt will go this winter, I want to go.
I'll go.
Oh
I'll go do something like that.
Everybody's got to at least experience greenback before
One time.
Yeah, one time.
Ted told me throw him back, he's not quite big enough yet.
Yeah.
He's 27 inches, we'll come back.
You talked about like the snow bear and augers, like technology-wise over the years, like some of the innovations that have come out in fishing through your years of it. Like, what are some of the big ones that you can think of that have really changed?
Mapping technology, without a doubt.
Yeah.
They have an outline on the map of the lake, all the contour lines, so now you can start from the launch site and go right to the tip of a point, or a rock pile in the middle of the lake, or the edges of a flat where there might be some weeds. I mean, that is without a doubt the biggest technological advance that we have seen in fishing over the last 10 to 15, 20 years. And the electronics just keep getting better and better. We're able to see more. We're able to see, in some instances with down imaging and side imaging, we can see the species of the fish.
Yep.
Given the, depending on how the fish is positioned in front of the transducer. But the electronics and mapping has definitely been the biggest advancement.
Now, I don't know if that record still stands, but you used to hold the record for the biggest bag in one day on the walleye
As
tour.
far as I understand, yes, I still have a 1 day 5 fish limit of 53.2 pounds.
Take us through that day. Where were you?
Well, we were on Lake Erie. It was a unique set of circumstances where there had been a big blow about 10 days before that. The water was real muddy, and it just kept on getting clearer and clearer. And this day that we went out, it was like the second day of the tournament, and it was dead calm. The water clarity was just perfect. The walleyes were just coming out of post-spawn and really getting more active. I was trolling crankbaits about 10 to 15 feet down over 25 to 30 feet of water. They were suspended at that point. And I noticed that as I was doing S-turns and slowing slowing the inside boards, trolling boards, and then speeding them up, that as soon as that crankbait would kind of like slowly go and then stop, and then go again, the bigger walleyes would grab it, and the board would go back. And so after I figured that out, I did it on purpose. All I was doing, going about a mile and a half an hour, trolling crankbaits, and then just moving the boat back and forth. That would slow and stop and slow and speed up the boards on the outside, and that's how these big fish kept on hitting. So yeah, it was a great day. I mean, the funny thing is, I got into the weigh-in and I knew I had a pretty decent limit. But then, you take one fish and put them in the weigh basket. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Well, that one's even bigger than that one. And, they just kept getting better and better. So yeah, it was a pretty exciting day.
Well, we talked about her personal best walleye. What's your personal best walleye?
Well, that day I had a 12 pounder. It's hard when you're fishing tournaments to target really big fish. Now we go to a lot of great bodies of water that have good fish in them. But in tournament fishing, if you come in with a limit every day, you're going to do pretty good.
Yep.
So we don't really have the opportunity to really target big fish. We fish when they tell us to fish. If I was going to be targeting big fish, I'd be going to specific big fish locations at the right times. Trying to get around the full moon. Usually 2 to 3 days before or after the full moon phases is usually the best for big fish movements. So, it's different when you're tournament fishing versus, when you're targeting big fish.
Have you started fishing some tournaments now or not yet?
Well, I was in one tournament, but yeah.
Do you enjoy it or not really?
She actually caught the only keeper fish that day.
Oh, really?
I was lucky. But, I had the team in the boat there, and Ted's like, let's go to this spot, and that's where the fish were, so it worked out pretty good.
So would you rather go out on a day tournament fishing, or would you rather just go out on a day and just fun fish?
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, there's some stress with
There is some
the
stress
tournament.
Absolutely.
Pressure.
Absolutely.
There's actually kind of pressure any time I go fishing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you do it. That's your job now, so
Right.
yeah, you gotta produce
Right.
and to be able to post pictures and.
Right. Whether you're fishing a tournament, shooting a television show, taking on an outdoor rider, or even when my daughter goes, my daughter will look at me and say, "Dad, why aren't we catching any fish?"
That's the most pressure of all.
It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some stress, every day. But the greatest days are when the fishing comes easy and it's a beautiful, nice, relatively calm day and perfect temperature. Those are hard to find, and those are the best days usually.
You were kind of giving away a secret too, weren't you? about when you're looking for walleye and letting them kind of tell you what they want?
Oh, well, I mean,
It's not like a one size fits all.
well, that's true. It's really being observant, trying to pick up what the walleyes want. Every time you get a bite, every time you catch a fish, they're trying to tell you what they want.
Right.
And once you're able to figure out what it is that they want, either the action that you're putting on the lure, or the color, or the type of live bait, or it could be just a jig. Do the walleyes want a snap off the bottom, or do they want to drag down the bottom, or drag and a stomp? There's so many different ways walleyes will hit. So yeah, just vary the action until you get a bite.
Is that kind of how you do, when you get to a lake, do you kind of just start experimenting with all different things?
Well,
or do you
at
got
this
your
point,
kind of
yeah.
go-to method that you...
At this point, I've been to a lot of different bodies of water. I kind of classify them into rivers, natural lakes, reservoirs, and the Great Lakes. And, kind of put them into those different categories. And then, I have different rules for each one of those bodies of water. Rivers, you're looking for eddies. Great Lakes are usually suspended. Natural lakes, they're usually near the bottom, near structure. That's kind of how, each of these types of lakes, all the walleyes, the behavior and what they do is typically how they act. So yeah, I've been to a lot of different places. So yeah, I have specific things that I try, but they don't always work. You have to be pretty open-minded and change it all up. So.
What's the farthest you've ever been away from the Midwest and fished? Have you done a lot of ocean fishing? You mentioned down in Florida. Have you gone international and fished, or?
I've done some. I was in South America a couple years back. That was pretty fun.
We had the teeth downstairs.
Yeah, the piranha.
Oh, really?
Yeah, piranha teeth.
That was a cool fish. If you can envision a fish, say a 4 or 5 pound bluegill that's got teeth, it's pretty cool. They really fight hard. They were my favorite fish down there. I caught an arapaima, which is about 170 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of like a big garfish, big scales, big jaws. The arapaimas don't have teeth per se; they have more grinders, but they jump out of the water and they're a lot of fun fish. But fish for. I've done some redfish fishing on saltwater and some mahi or dolphin fish. Those are kind of fun to catch too, but I'm a freshwater fisherman, so
Yep.
walleyes. I love fishing for walleyes because they're difficult to catch on a day-to-day basis. But then muskies are a lot of fun too.
Yep. If there's anyone listening to the show right now that's young up-and-comer that wants to make their living in the fishing industry, do you have any words of advice for them?
I would say, I'm going to turn this down. I should have turned that down before.
You're all right.
Trying to figure that out. But for youngsters, it depends on what they want to get out of it. If they want to be a professional angler, I always tell them to stay in school and get a good job. Get a good education, get a good job. Treat your fishing business job as a second job. Once your second job or your fishing business pays you more than your first job, now you can concentrate more on your fishing business, because that's what it is. It's not, you don't just go fishing to go fishing. You're fishing to earn. When you're fishing to earn a living, it's now a business. You have to treat it like a business, and the first thing to do is to get a good job and get a good education and get a good job.
Yep. Well, a while back, me and Matt had a debate, and I wanted to ask you this. If you could go the rest of your life and either never get skunked on a fishing trip or never have a fish get off, what would you pick?
Well, that's gonna happen no matter what. I mean, I don't care who you are.
Yeah. But if you could be magic, which one would you pick?
Well, you never like to get skunked per se. So, I mean, are you saying, so it's either not get skunked?
Not getting skunked or not setting the hook on a fish and having it get off at the boat or landing every fish you hook.
Well, all right, I think both you're making mistakes of some sort. You're either not on the fish, you're not doing something right if you're not catching something. But when you have the fish on, that's telling me something. So I'd rather have a bite and lose them than not know what's going on.
Who won the bet?
That's it. That's it.
I always say there's just something like having that big fish on, and if it does get off, of the what did I do wrong? Like you said, like what was it? What was I doing? Was I forcing it too much? Did I not set the hook right? Stuff. So.
Now, a while back on one of your Ted's tips, you talked about how you change out the treble hooks on a lot of your.
Yeah, if it's a tournament and money's on the line, yeah, you bet. Sharp hooks are critical.
When did you start doing that? When you started getting into some bigger money tournaments?
Any of the tournaments, yeah. Preparation is always the key when it comes to tournament fishing. You either have to sharpen your hooks or you change them out. And I've been fortunate. I've used Gamakatsu hooks for my entire career, and and I've been fortunate to have them now as a sponsor. So it's always great to have a sponsor where you can represent their products, and it's products that you've used for your entire life.
Yeah, you believe in them, and
You believe in them.
absolutely.
You bet. Yeah.
Well, you got any more questions, or you kind of?
No, I'm pretty good. Like I said, thanks for doing that. Do you have anything more to add, Charlotte, as far as what's it been like fishing with Ted?
Oh, it's been so much fun. Every time we go out, we're catching fish, and these are just huge fish. I mean, to have caught a fish that was 27.5 inches to me is just amazing. He makes it so effortless. He knows where to go and what to do, and he just is so
she sits
excited
in a
when
lot
I
of the
catch.
seminars now too, so I think she's learning a
Oh,
lot.
yeah, where's the structure, and
Won't be long, and she'll be teaching you
There you
stuff.
go, that's right. I hope that's it.
Yeah, I guess that's always the
I
hope.
have a question. How many rods does one man need?
How many pairs of shoes does one woman need?
Limitless.
There you go.
There we go.
That's a great answer. That's a great comeback.
Absolutely. Well, no, if that's it, if you guys don't have any more, like I said, we really appreciate you inviting us up here and letting us sit down and talk with you. We've both been looking forward to it, and yeah, if that's that, then whatever.
You got your social media people can follow you on?
Yeah, in fact, that'd be great. Make sure you get on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, look me up at Ted Takasaki and like my page. And I have a fan page. I do a regular weekly Ted's Tips, and it's really getting a lot of traction. People seem to really like it, and try to give folks a little 1 minute to 2 minute tip every single week.
Yeah, I'll link that on our Facebook page, and yeah, we'll send them your way. Go and like that page, and yeah, if that's that, then no, we appreciate you tuning in to episode 31. Matt's going to be gone here for 2 weeks up north fishing.
Yeah.
So we will, I don't know what we'll do in the next 2 weeks for episodes, but stay tuned. Thank you very much. See ya.